iPhone 13 Pro Max turns 2 years old in September. The new kid on the block, the Galaxy S23 Plus, is a similar phone in size and performance. But can the iPhone 13 Pro Max take down the S23 Plus? We're gonna find that out right now. Let's begin with a boot up test in 3, 2, go, and see which one can get there first. Now, the iPhone 13 Pro Max does feature an Apple A15 Bionic chipset, 6 gigabytes of RAM. It's facing off against a similar sized S23 Plus, which features a Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 and 8 gigabytes of RAM. The iPhone does turn on faster, and this has been pretty much the case against all my iPhone versus Samsung S23 model, speed tests so far. They do turn on faster than the S23 models, but it wasn't by too much, and it's not really a big deal for a lot of people, but sometimes if the phone crashes, you need to restart it, hence why I include this test. Now, when it comes to unlocking the phones with the iPhone 13 Pro Max, just like all the other iPhones, it simply unlocks like so. And of course, I am, hitting the button. You can just raise to wake it if you want. Now, the Galaxy S23 Plus is a little faster with its fingerprint sensor. I totally just missed that twice in a row because I'm looking at the camera. But definitely it's faster because you don't actually have to look at the fingerprint sensor. And once you know where it's at, you're good to go. And don't be fooled. Those misses are not inaccuracy. That was just me missing it because I'm trying to look through a camera, check the mic, make sure all the sound is good on this video. So when you see some of these little minor errors, they're human errors. You can see right here, if you do nail it, pretty much it goes every time. So that's a good thing. Now, the reason why it's faster is because when you go ahead and, hit it, you don't actually have to look at it like the iPhone. Now, this also is faster to unlock with the face because when you just look at it, it bypasses everything quickly. And there is a new feature in One UI where you can, well, it's not new anymore, but it will require you to look at the screen. So while it's not super secure, still using a camera, not Face ID security sensors, it's still fast. It's still secure enough for, just regular day-to-day use. But if you're going to go out and you're worried about security, I would rely on the biometric fingerprint sensor. Now, in terms of their general software performance, they are both rocking out with the 120 hertz panels. This one's the ProMotion variety, aka Apple's marketing for a 1 hertz to 120 hertz display. Over here, it might be 10 hertz. Let me know if I was correct on that one. I think I forgot that. The Galaxy S23 Plus, though, 120 hertz as well, although I know it doesn't go quite far as down in the refresh as the iPhone, but it's still very smooth. You can see it adjusts up to 120 hertz, and it makes it very fast. So in reality, using these both day to day, I still feel like the iPhone retains a more of a smoother feel, whereas the Samsung now has smooth and fast combined, because Androids have always been this snappy feel, whereas iPhones have always been this liquid smooth feel. But now Samsung's kind of combining the best of both worlds here, so both of them are incredibly smooth and enjoyable to operate day to day, whether using the One UI 5.1 or iOS 16.4.1 on the left. So let's go ahead and do the app test now. You can see everything is closed out on the right, everything is closed out on the left, and we'll begin with calendar. And you could see that looked like the Samsung. We'll go into calculator. That might have been the iPhone, and clock. And that might have been the Samsung. Let's go into Play Store, App Store. That is the Samsung on the right. And by the way, a lot of people comment, why are you saying this one? You're calling this one. They're calling me biased. No, I'm trying to call it the best I can. You got to remember, I'm looking through a camera screen. I can't see every little microsecond difference. These phones are so close that I am capable of saying something incorrect. So that's why I would like if you guys tell me down below, nope, that one was to the iPhone. I would appreciate that. But when you're actually in application, you'll see that both of them do perform just fine. I find that certain applications are better optimized in speed for depending on the application for each platform. So like Twitter always opens first, usually on the Samsung, but this time it was on the iPhone. And you'll see once you're in there, it's just a little snappier. But let's go over here to another one. You could see once you're in application, pretty good. But the fact that, this iPhone 13 Pro Max being the older phone is hanging right there with it, I think shows that Apple's chip was more ahead than Samsung's. Let's go into things to do, or Qualcomm's. You could see Samsung a little faster on the right, but a lot of people really like the size of the Galaxy S23 Plus, saying that it's the perfect size. I agree. You're getting like the same size screen, nearly, as the iPhone 13 Pro Max, with a smaller body. So, and lighter. So overall, it just feels really nice to use day to day. But when you're actually in applications, you know, I don't think you're going to be noticing too much of a difference on either. Now, there is a little trick you can do on Android in the developer options. You can lower the animation scales and make them actually feel faster. You can see right there on the right. But I don't really like to do that. Reason why is because I feel like it takes away the smooth look of it. It just makes it really fast. So yeah, so Best Buy, it looked like it was going to the Samsung. As you've seen, my scrolling was incredibly psycho right there. And somebody mentioned that, I think, before in the comments too. I do read the comments. So somebody mentioned, you know, nobody scrolls like that. Nobody scrolls like a psycho, like you're scrolling in this video. I'm not scrolling like that because that's how I'm trying to indicate how people scroll in real life. I'm trying to show you the capabilities of speed here and see if we can get a delay or a lag up in these phones. No, in reality, people probably scroll more like this. Maybe a little fast if they're looking for something quickly, but not like that. I get it. But at the same time, if we're scrolling fast, we can see the actual speed difference in scrolling. Let's go into Starbucks. You can see about the same. You're not going to get coffee any faster. It just depends on where you're at in line. And we'll see here, it looked like the iPhone loaded that first. And also, you know, the commentary that I do in these speed tests is to talk with you guys. You know, in terms of like calling the applications, you guys can call them for yourself. You can watch what we're doing here and you could pick which one you thought was faster. So that just took us to Instagram. Let's go back to Asphalt 9 here. And you could see pretty similar. So you can actually run same games, same performance, essentially. Subway Surf. Now, supposedly Apple throttles, you know, sometimes. So that's what I've heard. I don't find it to be a big issue. Both of them can sustain performance pretty darn well in day-to-day, you know, stuff you're going to be doing. Let's go to Temple Run 2. See how this opens up. And you'll see over here on the right, Samsung Galaxy S23 Plus. And some people say, have been saying I should include a little bit more like Genshin Impact, COD Mobile, PUBG game. I'm only including these games because personally, that's what I do. I run casual games on the phone. I prefer to game on PS5. But if you guys want to see a little bit more of those heavier games, let me know. I'll just download those instead and we'll see how long those take to open. But overall, Geekbench looked a little faster on the right. Let's go to 3D Mark, and that's on the left. And we'll go over here to KindMaster and see which one is faster here. And that was the iPhone. Yep, that was the iPhone over the Samsung. So overall, the 13 Pro Max performing just about like an iPhone 14 Pro Max. And won some applications, the S23 Plus won some applications. But if you were deciding to trade in your 13 Pro Max for S23 Plus, I don't know if I would do it. I mean, if you really want the S23 Plus, you want the triple camera, the long zoom, it would still be a little bit of a snappier phone. But I don't know if I would do that specific upgrade. But, you know, at least if you did do the upgrade, you would know this. If you want to try Samsung, you're not going to get a slower phone. You're not going to get a worse performer in any way, shape, and form. That's kind of the point of comparing these two right here. So let's go ahead and see if we get any reloads on either of these two smartphones. And you'll see, nope. Let's go over here. And this is an area where Samsung has particularly improved a lot, and that is in the actual reload of the applications. They used to actually be a little choppy and reload a lot. These days, Samsung holds those applications beautifully. Why is that important? Well, it's not super important most of the time if you're just single tasking on your smartphone, but it is important for scenarios where you're doing something seriously productive and you got to go back to an application. You don't want stuff reloading that messes you up. Also, if you're holding stuff throughout the day and you just got to revisit that application, for example, you're going out to eat, you're using some apps, you got to go revisit something quickly. If it's held open, it's easy to get back into it without waiting for that load time. These little micro things add up throughout the day, these microseconds, and they do make the overall smartphone experience more efficient for you. Even if you're not really paying attention to that, it is in the background. All right, internet test. We'll go to apple.com first, as always, and then you'll see Samsung on the right. Let's go to learn more on the 14 Pro. And that's about even, actually. Even Steven on there on both of them. Samsung Internet has definitely come a long way. It's got a lot of updates over the years. And we'll go to Samsung.com here on the right. I cannot type this morning. And we'll go into Samsung.com here on the left. And 3, 2, go. See which one can get there first. Apple beats Samsung to their site by a decent margin. And so you can see that the performance, I find Safari to still be a smoother browsing experience. You can see it's just buttery smooth. So is the Samsung Internet browser. It's also got that fast scrolling like you'll find on, you'll find that on the like apps too. Like just Android in general has this really fast scrolling. And again, nobody scrolls like that, but when you slow it down, it still speeds up. Whereas I think the motion of your finger scrolling on iOS is a little bit more natural. I'm just saying that. I'm not saying it's better. I'm just saying it's more natural. Better is going to be subjective up to you. We're going to go ahead and run a Geekbench 6 test, and we're going to see how they do. I did get a comment the other day saying Apple developers, or not Apple developers, people who work with Macs and stuff developed the Geekbench, so they think it's called the Apple Bench. Whatever it's called, it's a benchmarking application. We don't just throw this one in here like we used to. Now we throw in 3D Mark. So we'll be back with this score, and then we'll do the 3D Mark test afterwards. And here are our final Geekbench scores. You can see the iPhone with the win, 2263 on single, and not by too much, but on the multi-core score, a 5505 versus a 4568. Now, let's go ahead and run a 3D Mark Extreme test, and let's see if the Samsung could take down the iPhone here, as the iPhone took down the Samsung in Geekbench 6. And so no, the iPhone cannot take down the Samsung here, with the Samsung winning overall score 3360 with an average frame rate of 20.10. Now over here we have an average frame rate of 17.5. As we scroll down, you'll see that the iPhone scores better than 48% of other 14 and 13 Pro Maxes. This one does better than other 84% of other devices. And on here is 75, so about 9% better on the Samsung. You'll see that the battery dropped from 65 to 63, 94 to 93. And they had a average frame rate of 10 to 23 on the iPhone with a 14 to 27. So according to this test, Samsung is graphically more powerful. I'm not sure everyone would agree, but at least that test is saying that it's a little more powerful in that aspect. So at the end of the day, which one is the faster phone? I think it's a toss-up. I think in certain areas, the iPhone's going to feel faster. And while the A series chip is known to be incredibly efficient, it is a little bit, not being taken advantage of with this big screen, no split screen, no multitasking. But still, when you're doing things like iMovie, you're doing things like Filmic Pro, you're running those applications that really push it, this chip can hold its own. It definitely can handle anything. The Samsung phone takes advantage of that power with its multitasking abilities, with having sustained gaming performance. It doesn't get too warm. The One UI is now better optimized than ever. And if you wanted to try out Samsung and say you were trading in your 13 Pro Max for a discounted trade-in, I think you'd be pretty happy with the switch if you wanted to try Samsung. Either way, it's a toss-up. They're pretty even here. I'd say either way, they're both very good, which is saying a lot for being, a couple years old there on the iPhone. But Samsung has come a long way, and this is definitely their year so far, I would say. Let me know if you agree or disagree down below in the comments. Thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't already. Nick here. Be sure to be well. I'll catch you on the next episode, and peace.